Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Monday Night Raw for the TEW save. We've had couple big matches. We have a tag title match, number one contenders match, between two tag teams. Well, not two tag teams, two people on a tag team in terms of Jericho. Will their relationship be split? There's a lot of factors going into this episode of Monday Night Raw, so let's just jump in to get it. So we start the show off with Jericho making their way down to the ring ahead of their number one contenders match. Tensions clearly evident between them. They're not trusting of each other. They're not as confident as they usually are. They're taking glances at each other. But Jericho has a mic and he starts talking. He says, "Kofi Kingston, you insignificant worm, despite the outcome of the match tonight, either way, whoever wins, Big Show or me, most likely me, Jericho will end your Cinderella Championship reign. You may have the high spots. You may have the flips. You yourself have technical brilliance. You're a great wrestler. But you will never be in the same class as a man like myself, like Chris Jericho, because I am the best in the world at what I do." And then the mic is swiped by the Big Show, and the Big Show says, "You also don't have the raw power that I do, the strength, the size that the Big Show has." And then the mic is swiped again, and then again. And Jericho and Big Show, they stare down one another, and seemingly ending the segment, this little opening thing, as enemies rather than friends in their upcoming match. So hyping up tonight's main event, that will indeed be the main event. We cut to a tag match here between England's Finest and Common Ground. And about the head, decent wrestling, but didn't have much heat. England's Finest, they beat him in 17 minutes, assisted European uppercut. Common Ground, Alex Riley and Mason Ryan, if you didn't know, they're a decent little tag team I had created. Just in case you're new to the series, I thought it might be confusing if someone's first time's like, why? Who is Common Ground? But we cut back after that. In England's Finest, they stand tall in the ring. Wade Barrett running out to help a massive post-match brawl of Common Ground. Like, they just destroy poor Alex Riley and Mason Ryan. Mostly Mason Ryan, because Mason Ryan tries to fight back, but they're not having any of it. They just beat the crap out of him. But then the Titantron comes alive, there's static, and then it cuts to a handheld camera like the old Shield used to, do, and I guess they're all the old Shield now. It's only 2013. And Dean Ambrose is wielding the camera. He goes, "Hey, Wade, up here, buddy. We saw what you've been doing to people around here, and to be honest, you're doing a little infringement, aren't you? Monday Night Raw, it's the Shield's house. We do the handouts of justice here. We're the law, not you. And I think I have something to prove that to you." And Dean moves the camera down, and we see John Morrison leaned up against a wall, and he just gets nay-nayed by Roman Reigns. And then Seth Rollins comes in with a chair shot, just destroying poor John Morrison. And Dean says, "Now we've told you once. I'm just going to say it once more, one more time. Your little tea party better stay out of our way, or you'll be in the same position as Jomo here." And the camera feed cuts. So, war of words continuing between two of Monday Night Raw's big factions. The Shield, England's Finest. I think they're on a collision course to something pretty violent, and people are starting to get hurt being in the way. You gotta wonder, maybe Common Ground wasn't even gonna get a beat down, but Wade Barrett and England's Finest are just upset at the Shield. That stress has put him into it. They're not even touching each other yet, and they're bringing in multiple victims, essentially, kind of like civilian casualties. John Morrison, who I thought that was a clever way to write him out, and of course, Common Ground as of now. And then we cut backstage, and it's short and sweet. Randy Orton and The Miz are fighting. Randy Orton and The Miz, ever since Randy Orton came to Monday Night Raw and RKO'd The Miz, it's just not been the same. They two are just beating each other. You also got to think about how it involved them, losing their chances at the number one contendership with Orton via Punk, and Orton coming in with The Miz as well. And The Miz and CM Punk, they're definitely not on the same page either. It's just a cluster. It's a mess. This, whole kind of storyline here. Just three men who just are really growing a hatred for each other. And then we have a decent match with Bray Wyatt defending his United States Championship. One thing about Bray Wyatt that's interesting, he is a defending champion, but, he has been very critical of the championship, more so of the land it represents. He's been very critical of America. He's not too into it. If you missed Extreme Rules, which you should definitely go see, one of the better pay-per-views, I've done on TEW. Bray Wyatt defeated Roddy Piper in essentially his last match ever, brutalized the poor man, and now he's done the same thing to Brodus Clay. And Bray Wyatt, he gets on a microphone. Well, he doesn't get a microphone. He's just kind of ranting to the air. Because you remember last week, he was talking about how he wanted an opponent, a real American hero, he said. A kind of person that represents America, this kind of like generic Kurt Angle-like character. And no, Kurt Angle's not coming out. I'll spoil that for you now. But Bray Wyatt stops. He turns. Because there's a strange-looking woman on the entrance ramp. She's got this, like, dominatrix, like, bunny thing going on, if you catch where I'm going with it. So Bray Wyatt, this very sexual music starts playing, and all of a sudden, this woman is joined by a bunch of different Asian women, all in these weird bunny outfits. It looks like some straight out of the cover of Playboy gone wrong. They, like, fill the entire ramp. Like, it's like the Druids on crack. There's just so many of these bunnies and Bray Wyatt he's confused. He's not even, like, intimidated. Well, he's a little intimidated. There's just curiosity on his face. He's not even talking. He's barely breathing. He's just looking. Slowly but surely, though, a man appears from the crowd. An unfamiliar man, someone that the crowd wouldn't be familiar with. But according to a t-shirt, which you could buy now on www.shop.com, it's the Tokyo Pimp, Yujiro Takahashi. Yujiro Takahashi is making his WWE debut. There's like 50 different women surrounded by him. He's making the Godfather look like a damn joke. He does the around the chest, around the stomach, the I want the belt gesture towards Wyatt. He seemingly wants the WWE United States Championship. Bray Wyatt then, so essentially he leaves, and all these different women are just staring at Bray, and Bray's completely, he's both, like, confused, but also, now he's scared of them. He's like afraid they're gonna, like, try and beat his ass as he walks away. You guys have no idea how long I've waited for this moment. The moment where Yujiro Takahashi debuted as the Tokyo Pimp. By the way, fun fact in the save, New Japan didn't have a relationship with me when I stole their ace, Tanahashi. I stole Takahashi, and they immediately said they had a hostile relationship for me. So if you want to know who's better, for all the, the internet marks, Tanahashi, not really. Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Pimp, definitely way up there. Clearly. And he wants a shot at Bray Wyatt's United States Championship, but will he get it? That is the real question. Moving on from that nonsense, the tag title match is set up. Ingame and Kings of Wrestling, they're in the ring, they're ready to go. But then we cut to Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, and Chris Sabin has a very somber look on his face while Alex Shelley's in the corner, and he's clutching his hand. And he says, I'm sorry, guys, but the match is going to have to be called off. If you weren't watching SmackDown, which you should, by the way, and he winks at the camera, we had a match against a team called the Second City Selfies. And he sniffs. He's like, and Shelley has been injured. He's got a very bad, nasty boo-boo, and Shelley holds his hand out, and there's, like, a little cut on his finger, and they're like, we talked to the doctors, and he can't compete. So Insane are just kind of like, this is bullshit. Kings of Wrestling, Cesaro, I imagine Cesaro's like, you know what he did with the beach ball when he ripped it in half? He probably does that to, like, a chair or a ringside worker. No, he doesn't do that. That'd be awesome, though. Can you imagine? But, so the tag match is canceled off, and then Kings of Wrestling turn around and just start beating up Kevin Steen, I'm used to that, and Sami Zayn, and then the referee's like, okay, ring the bell, I guess? So, we're having essentially a match, an impromptu match for the number one contendership status, which is at, wow, I figured it would, I figured it might get a 99A, but God, that's great. In a match, an impromptu match, essentially, which it's not officially number one contenders, but you gotta imagine it is. Plus, in Zayn, they beat Kings of Wrestling. Kevin Steen hits the sharpshooter, the famous Kevin Steen sharpshooter, on to Cesaro for the win. So it's going to be, looks like Inzane versus Motor City Machines once again for the tag titles. Really good stuff, really good match, and I thought about doing the match, but then I thought it'd be funny. It'll give the Motor City Machines a little character as he's sniveling little heels, because I love the Motor City Machine Guns. I love all these tag teams, so, you know, we'll have to, I'm not going to pre-book it. I already have it pre-booked. You know, I pre-book everything in advance. But, yeah, no, Inzane versus Motor City Machine Guns one last time for the tag team titles. And then we have just a women's match, kind of clear the palate. You know, that match was indeed a 99 A-star Meltzer orgasm-creating match. So we have Sarah Del Rey, you know, picking up a win over Karma in 9 minutes with a Royal Butterfly Suplex. She hits it onto Karma. Amazing strength. And, you know, Karma taking the L, kind of surprising, you know, but a good win for Sarah Del Rey. And we have a hype video, a short little segment in which this probably would have been played throughout the whole show, and I'm surprised this got low rating. CM Punk, Kofi Kingston, they're going to fight tonight because CM Punk, the essentially general manager Stone Cold Steve Austin, seems to have decided that CM Punk, because of what happened with Randy Orton, he's going to give him a title match on Raw. Not at the pay-per-view, but on Raw, and that match is up next with Kofi Kingston versus CM Punk. Had a great couple matches before, and we have that match in 91A. I wonder why that didn't do as good of a rating. Low heat, really, on the Awesome story? So essentially the story is more about, what happens in this match. Kofi Kingston retains, but during, you know, at some point, Randy Orton runs down, and so does The Miz. They start brawling, but then they see Punk, and they're like, hey, you know, he's kind of a dick. So they start brawling, so Kofi Kingston essentially watches these two guys beat the crap out of each other. They throw Punk back in the ring. Kofi hits a SOS. He doesn't like that he wins this way, but he's still going to pick up the win, and Kofi makes the second defense of his WWE title, the second time against CM Punk. But yeah, no, I'm really surprised the rating for the storyline was that bad. But anyway, we cut to then a segment, and he says, Stone Cold Steve Austin, speaking of, the general manager, glass shatters as he makes his way to the ring. You know, Punk has gotten up at this point, and all three men are trying to brawl with each other, and he says, you know what? We're going to settle this in the ring, and it's going to be how it's always going to be. It's going to be, you know, Punk, Orton, and Miz, triple threat at Over the Limit. And then The Miz says, you know, Austin, you know, why are you even booking this match? I'm a better competitor. You know, I should be main eventing the pay-per-view. I should be fighting Kofi Kingston. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And he rants that off, and Stone Cold says, okay, you don't want to have the match? You're not in the match. And Miz is like, really? Awesome. That's really cool. I don't have to wrestle these two guys now. He's like, you're not just out of the match. You're off the card. You don't have a match at Over the Limit. I thought about giving you one, but now you don't get one. Bye. And Austin just walks away, and The Miz is clearly pissed that he just screwed himself out of a pay-per-view buy rate. A little kind of silly in that segment, but where it's going, you'll see essentially how it goes out. And it also gets the match some heat. And then we have, literally, Chris Jericho keeps sneaking his way in here. So this is Chris Jericho. I might superimpose Chris Jericho's face on it for the sake of it. I'm actually mad. This is the second time. Sneaky Chris Hero instead of Chris Jericho. It might be the mouse, because I used the mouse to do that. Whatever. Chris Jericho and the Big Show, their match is up. It's the main event for the #1 contendership. And then they look at the referee, and then Jericho and the Big Show, they just both attack the ref. They both laugh, and then Jericho is handed a mic by the Big Show. They're high-fiving each other. They're hugging each other. And Jericho says, you really fell for it, didn't you? You stupid idiots really fell for it. The Big Show and me will always be the best allies in the world at what we do. We are a singular unit, a force of nature. We will not wrestle each other, but we do demand that we face the WB Championship. We being the key in this segment. We want to do it together. And then SOS plays. Kofi Kingston comes down with the belt after just having a match, and he says, Jericho, you and Big Show want to face me 2-on-1? That's absolutely fine. I accept. I'm going to talk to General Manager Stone Cold. No matter what he says, I want the match to go on. I can't wait to out-wrestle the both of you, but I want you to think about it. It'll be a triple threat match. Which one of you will get the pin? And Jericho and Big Show, they're taken aback. They're like, huh, that's a good point. Clearly not thinking their plan all the way through. In their minds, they tricked Kofi Kingston into taking a triple threat match, but they never thought, normally they probably would have thought, oh, I'll pin the guy, or Big Show pins the guy, Big Show does all the work, Jericho does the submission at the end. But with the title on the line, well, that created. So one twist leads to another, but it's going to be official. It's Jericho, Big Show, Kofi at Over the Limit for the WWE title. And then we have, just to check how it's doing, we have a host show match with Tokyo Pimp Yujiro Takahashi. He defeats David Otunga with a spear, just to see, 66 is not bad, especially for being a pre-show. And we end the show there. We end Monday Night Raw with a 90. They weren't attractive women on the... Oh, I hate that damn women shit. But I should probably change that. But... yeah, overall, good Monday Night Raw. We had one of my favorite. We had sneaky Chris Hero getting in on the Jericho segments. We had Bray Wyatt being confronted by the greatest. I'm sorry, I was so excited. When I hired Takahashi, I was like, I like Takahashi, and I just happened to be watching the new New Japan show that they air on the U.S. on the one, I forget which channel it is right now. My channels are weird. And I was like, oh, I can hire him because I just happen to have him shortlisted. And then I thought of this storyline, just All-American Hero, the Tokyo Pimp, is just my favorite thing I've ever done. But, sorry to keep this long-winded. That's the end of the episode. You leave here, but I did want to say before that, we recently just hit 100 subscribers, and I just wanted to say, I did it in the Extreme Rules video, which I just posted. You guys are great. This series was something I did as just a little gimmick. I didn't even know if I'd get to WrestleMania before I lost steam on it. And to hit 100 subscribers is awesome. I'm so glad we could, and I want to thank everybody for that. And I'll see you guys all in the next video.